You might not have the best grades. You might not be the fastest. You might not have the connections, the wealth, or the spotlight. But you've got something that 90% of people will never tap into. Will and willpower. Willpower is stronger than talent. It outlasts genius. It breaks barriers that skill alone cannot. Average skill means you're not the top of the class, not the best on the team, maybe not the first pick. But when you got a phenomenal will, you don't let rejection define you. You let it refine you. See, talent might get you on the field, but willpower will keep you on it when your body says, "I stop out," and your purpose says to go. Michael Jordan got cut from his high school basketball team. Average skill, phenomenal will. Oprah got told she wasn't fit for TV. Average skill, phenomenal will. Homeless, high school dropout, no father in the house. Average background, phenomenal drive. Stop worrying about what you don't have. Stop crying about the talent you weren't born with. Start grinding for what no one can give you. Hard. That's the edge. That's the difference. When you can wake up every day and keep moving forward, no excuses, no shortcuts, no validation. That's phenomenal will. You don't need to be born great. You don't need to be gifted. All you need is a reason and the guts to never quit. You got a dream? Then don't sleep. You got goals? Then stop making excuses and start making moves. Because when average skill meets phenomenal will, miracles happen. Champions rise, history gets made, and you conquer. You see, talent is flashy. It's what gets the crowd cheering, the scouts watching, the cameras rolling. But talent is overrated if it stands alone. Because talent without the grind, without the guts, without the will, it fades, it burns out. It's wasted potential. You know what doesn't fade? Willpower. Willpower don't care if you were born with it or not. Willpower don't need applause. It wakes up early when nobody's watching. It stays late after everyone's left. It keeps moving forward when the odds are stacked, when the energy's gone, when the body's tired. Willpower outlasts talent every time. You might not be the most gifted in the room, and that's okay. You might look around and see people who are faster, stronger, smarter. You might see them succeed quickly, but here's the truth. Fast don't always finish. Strong don't always stand. Smart don't always endure. Will does. Will stands back up after being knocked down 10 times. Will keeps running when the legs are trembling. Will doesn't ask for easy. Will just wants possible, and then it makes it real. I've seen people who were born with nothing, no resources, no mentors, no advantages, rise to the top because they had that dog in them. They had that fire in their chest. You can't teach that. You can't hand that out. You've got to want it so bad that it hurts not to have it. That's the kind of will that beats talent. That's the kind of hunger that eats excuses alive. You wake up every day with average skill, but you bring elite work ethic. You bring a mindset that said, you may be better than me, but you're not going to outwork me. That's the part that talent forgets. Talent thinks it's enough. Talent that's never been tested. Talent that's never been pressured, challenged, or broken. That kind of talent falls apart the moment life gets hard. Willpower, though. Willpower's been through the fire. Willpower has scarred. Willpower don't panic when it gets dark. It gets focused. Let's go. Because will isn't a feeling. Will is a decision. Every single day, you choose to keep showing up, to keep working, to keep believing when there's no proof yet. That's what separates the winners from the rest. Look at the greats, the ones you admire, the ones who broke records and changed lives. Yes, some of them had talent, but every single one of them had will. They had an obsession, a focus, a crazy level of consistency. They didn't always feel good, but they stayed committed. That's will. That's will. That's what makes the impossible possible, not the gift, the grind, not the blessing, the belief, not the flair. Willpower doesn't wait for motivation. Willpower creates momentum. You don't wake up inspired every day. Some days you're tired. Some days you're frustrated. Some days you're frustrated. Some days you question if it's worth it. But willpower shows up anyway. It gets up anyway. It laces the shoes and goes to work anyway. And when you stack enough days like that, you outlast the ones who were supposed to beat you. You pass the ones who had the edge because you turned your hunger into habits. And habits outlive hype. There are people with twice your talent, 10 times your connections, more money, more resources, but they're not hungry. They're not disciplined. They're not consistent. You can beat them. You can pass them. Not because you're better, but but because you refuse to stop. You understand that the race doesn't go to the swift. It goes to the one who endures to the end. That's will. That's grit. That's power. Average skill is not your limit. It's just your starting point. What happens next? That's on you. If you got willpower, there's no finish line. There is no quit. You fall, you rise, you fail, you learn, you lose, you train over and over and over again. You keep coming. You keep grinding. And eventually you look up and realize the ones who started ahead are now behind. Because they got comfortable. But you stay hungry. Willpower outlasts city talent because it refuses to be satisfied. It refuses to say, I've done enough. It keeps pushing boundaries. It keeps growing when others plateau. It keeps growing when others doubt. No, that's the weapon. That's the edge. That's how the underdog becomes the top dog. So if you're sitting there thinking you're not good enough, not talented enough, not chosen, good. That means you got room to grow. That means you got something to prove. And that means you can tap into a force that talent can never touch. Willpower isn't about being gifted. It's about being relentless. It's about deciding that you won't stop until you get there. And then pushing further. Because in the end, talent shines for a moment. Willpower shines forever. Rejection is one of the most powerful forces in life. Not because it stops you, but because it shapes you. Most people take rejection as a full stop. They hear a no and they walk away. They get denied once and suddenly they believe they're not worthy, not good enough, worthy, not good enough, not ready. But those who succeed, those who break barriers, those who build something from nothing, they hear a no and translate it to a not yet. They use rejection as fuel. They use it as proof that the world hasn't seen their full potential yet. They don't let it crush them. They let it challenge them. When someone says you're not ready, that doesn't mean it's over. It just means the work isn't done yet. And if you've got phenomenal will, if you got that inner fire, then rejection isn't personal. It's preparation. It's the jam for your character. It's where resilience is built. Every time someone turns you down, every time a door closes in your face, you're being asked a question. How bad do you really want it? Are you willing to keep going without applause? Can you keep grinding when the world says no? Some of the greatest people in history faced rejection so many times they could have easily quit. J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 publishers. Stephen King's Carrie was thrown in the trash. Walt Disney was told he lacked creativity. What made them different wasn't their skill, it was their response. They didn't see rejection as the end. They saw it as fuel. They turned the no into drive, into obsession, into late nights and early mornings, into proof that they had something so valuable, the world just wasn't ready to recognize it yet. See, rejection builds toughness. It gives you armor. It teaches you how to keep going without validation. It teaches you that success isn't about being accepted. It's about being consistent. Anybody can keep going when people clap for them. Anybody can stay motivated when everything is working, but when you're getting overlooked, when you're being doubted, that's when willpower is tested. That's when you find out if you're committed or just interested. Are you doing this because it's easy, or are you doing this because it's your purpose? Rejection makes you dangerous. Because once you stop fearing it, once you learn how to use it, you become unstoppable. You no longer wait for someone to pick you. You no longer need permission to chase your goals. You don't cry over closed doors. You build your own. And when you knock on that door and they don't answer, you don't wait around. You build a wall, a ladder, and you climb over it. That's what phenomenal looks like. That's what separates people with heart from people with height. Too many people walk away after one and no. They take it personal. But greatness requires thousands of rejections, thousands of closed doors. And every single time you gotta stand up and say, I'm still here, I'm not done. That's power, that's discipline, that's ownership. The people who break through, they don't just endure rejection, they expect it. They welcome it because they know every no is getting them closer to a yes. Every rejection is refining their message, their mission, their grind. When you got will, rejection is like oxygen. It keeps you alive. It keeps you humble. It reminds you gotta keep growing, keep evolving. Rejection exposes your weaknesses. It shows you where to improve. And instead of sulking, instead of folding, people with phenomenal will study rejection. They learn from it. They adjust. They adapt. They keep knocking until the door falls off its hinges. And here's the real truth. Rejection is a sign that you're aiming high enough. If nobody's saying no to you, you're playing it too safe. You're staying in comfort zones. You're walking paths that are already approved. But if you're chasing something real, something uncommon, something big, then rejection is guaranteed. The question is, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to let it stop you, or are you going to let it strengthen you? The ones with phenomenal will, they don't just take rejection on the chin. They punch back. They come harder. They work longer. They train smarter. They let every no echo in their ears like a challenge, not an insult, because they know that one yes can make every no worth it. One door opening can make up for years of being shut out. But you'll never get there if you quit at the first sign of resistance. Rejection is a part of the process, not the end of the road. It's not proof that you're not good enough. It's proof that the journey is real. That you're being forged, not favored. That you're being tested, not torn down. And every test is an opportunity to level up. Every time you hear or know, your character grows, your discipline grows, your hunger grows. So next time you face rejection, don't run from it. Don't shrink. Don't start doubting who you are. Use it. Feed off it. Let it remind you that the world doesn't determine your value. Effort is everything. In a world where people expect results without putting in the work, where people want recognition without the grind, the truth is simple. Effort beats entitlement every time. Entitlement says, I deserve it because I showed up. Effort says, I'll earn it because I stayed late. I worked hard. I never gave up. There's a dangerous mindset out there that thinks just wanting something is enough, but just having potential is enough. But desire without discipline is empty. Potential without work is wasted. If you're walking around thinking the world owes you success just because you got talent, you're already losing. Nobody owes you anything. The world doesn't care what you think you deserve. It cares what you produce. It cares what you fight for. It cares how much pain you can take and still keep moving. You want to be a champion? You want to be elite? Then understand this. Effort is the currency of greatness. It's the price you pay to sit at the table with the best. It's the standard, not the exception. And effort doesn't care if you're tired. It doesn't care if you feel like it. Effort shows up, rain or shine, good day or bad day. Effort stays consistent. You've got to stop thinking the grind is optional. Too many people think they're too good to start at the bottom. Too many people think they've done enough because they've tried a few times. But effort doesn't stop when it gets hard. That's when it begins. That's when you separate the ones who really want it from the ones who just want to talk about it. Anybody can talk. Anybody can dream. But effort is when you show up at 5 a.m. when no one's watching. Effort is when you do the extra reps, when you study after hours, when you sacrifice sleep, comfort, even relationships, because you've decided that your purpose matters more. You've got to earn your spot every single day. Your resume doesn't matter if you're not putting in the work. Now, your background, your followers, your talent, they mean nothing if you're not hungry enough to keep proving yourself. Entitlement waits for opportunity. Effort creates opportunity. Effort shows up and makes noise until someone takes notice. And if they don't, effort doesn't complain. Effort keeps building in silence until the results are so loud they can't be ignored. It's not about what you're owed. It's about what you're willing to give. How much are you willing to sacrifice? How uncomfortable are you willing to get? How many times are you willing to fail and still come back stronger? That's effort. That's what champions are made of. They don't sit around waiting for a handout. They put their head down and go to work, day in, day out. No excuses, no breaks, no entitlement. And the beautiful thing about effort, it levels the playing field. You might not be the smartest. You might not be the most talented. But if you're willing to outwork everyone in the room, if you're willing to outlast and outgrind and outfight them, then you win. Because effort doesn't lie. Always shows up in the results. It's the one thing you can control no matter where you start. No one can take that from you. You don't need permission to work hard. You don't need approval to hustle. You don't need validation to grind. You just do it. That's the difference between winners and wishers. Wishers hope for the best. They talk a good game. But winners, they put in the work when no one's watching. They embrace the pain. They push through fatigue. They get up early and stay up late. They don't look for shortcuts. They build a long road because they know that real success doesn't come from being lucky. It comes from being relentless. So when you feel like quitting, when you think you've done enough, when you feel like you deserve more, ask yourself, have you really given everything? Have you really pushed to your limit? Or have you let entitlement sneak in? Effort doesn't care about how you feel. Effort doesn't take days off. It demands that you show up again and again and again until your name means something, until your results speak louder than your words. There's a reason the greats train like underdogs. They don't feel entitled. They don't expect the world to roll out a red carpet. They act like they've got everything to prove, even when they're already on top. You work like no one knows your name, like you got nothing, like you're still chasing the dream even when you're living it. Once you get comfortable, once you start thinking you're owed something, you stop growing. And when you stop growing, you start losing. Effort is the one thing that never lies. You can fake skill, you can talk talent, but effort will expose you. It will show the truth. And if you got phenomenal will, you won't run from that. You'll embrace it, you'll make it your fuel. Because in the end, the people who win aren't always the most gifted. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you want to become. It's not about being motivated all the time, because motivation comes and goes. One day you wake up ready to take over the world, and the next day you feel like you can't even get out of bed. That's life. That's real. And that's where discipline steps in. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel. It doesn't wait for a spark. It doesn't beg for inspiration. It just does the work. Every single day, whether the mood is there or not, whether the crowd is cheering or the room is silent. Discipline shows up when motivation checks out. People who rely only on motivation will always be inconsistent. They'll have great weeks and bad months. They'll start strong and fade quickly. They'll get excited about the vision but never finish the mission. But people with discipline, they get it done no matter what. They stay locked in when the hype dies down. They keep climbing when the path gets hard. They understand that discipline isn't punishment, it's freedom. The freedom to choose your future. The freedom to build the life you want, not the one that just happens to you. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when you don't want to do it. It's waking up early to train while others sleep. It's studying when everyone else is partying. It's saying a no to distractions, to comfort, to shortcuts. It's understanding that what feels good right now might cost you later, and what hurts now might pay off forever. Discipline is sacrifice, and it's not always flashy. It's not always glamorous, but it's always worth it. People with phenomenal would know that discipline drives destiny. You don't become great by accident. You don't achieve excellence because you felt like it. You achieve it because you made a decision, and then you back that decision with action day after day after day after day. Discipline is about being loyal to your goals long after the feeling you set them in has passed. It's about keeping your promises to yourself. Not just once, not just when it's easy, but always. The gym won't always be exciting. The grind won't always be fun. The routine will get boring. The schedule will get tough. But the question is, are you committed to the process, or are you chasing a feeling? Because feelings fade, but discipline endures. Discipline keeps you grounded when life tries to shake you. It keeps you focused when distractions call your name. It keeps you moving forward when everything in you wants to sit still. Discipline is what allows ordinary people to achieve extraordinary things. You don't have to be born special. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to be willing to out-discipline the competition. Willing to keep showing up, keep doing the work, and keep pushing when others give up. The world is full of talented people who never reach their potential because they lack discipline. And it's also full of people with average skill who outworked everyone else and built something incredible. That's not luck. That's not fate. That's discipline. When you're disciplined, you don't need motivation to move. You move because you made a commitment. You move because you respect the grind. You move because you know every step you take is building your future. There's no magic. There's no secret formula. There's just consistency. There's just effort. There's just discipline repeated over time until the results speak louder than any words ever could. And yes, discipline is uncomfortable. It demands effort. It requires you to say a no to a lot of things you might want in the moment. But that's the price of greatness. That's the cost of chasing something bigger than yourself. You have to give up temporary comfort for permanent progress. You have to trade in excuses for execution. You have to silence the voice that says a later and listen to the one that says a now. Discipline is not a personality trait. It's not something you're born with. It's a choice, a habit, a muscle you build every day. And the more you use it, the stronger it gets. The stronger it gets, the easier it becomes to stay locked in. And when you stay locked in long enough, the results will come. The breakthroughs will come. The rewards will come. People might not understand why you wake up early. They might not see the hours you put in. They might question your sacrifices, but they don't need to understand. Because discipline is about you versus you. It's about holding yourself to a higher standard. It's about being the kind of person who follows through every time, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. That's what separates those who dream from those who do. Anyone can write down a goal. Anyone can get excited about a vision. But few people have the discipline to show up and grind when the feeling is gone. Few people have the will to stay committed when it's no longer convenient. That's where winners are made. In those moments when nobody's watching. Heart is the real X factor. It's not what you were born with. It's not what you inherited. It's not something that can be measured on paper or compared on a stat sheet. Heart can't be taught in school, accounting in a bank account. Heart is what separates the ones who finish from the ones who fall short. It's the invisible force that keeps you standing when everything else is telling you to sit down. You can have all the skill, all the talent, all the gifts in the world, but if you don't have heart, real heart, none of it matters when adversity hits, because it will hit. And when it does, only heart can carry you through the storm. There's a moment in every journey when you reach the edge of your limits. Your body's tired. Your mind is filled with doubt. You're staring at obstacles you never saw coming. That's the moment where most people fold. That's the moment when comfort sounds louder than purpose. But the people with heart, they go deeper. They dig into a place inside themselves that most never access. A place where passion overpowers pain. A place where commitment outweighs fear. A place where the will to win becomes stronger than the urge to quit. You see, heart isn't flashy. It doesn't always show up in the highlight reel. It shows up in the unseen hours. It shows up in the silent mornings when you're putting in the work and nobody claps for you. It shows up when you get knocked down and decide to rise anyway. It shows up when everything around you says it's over and something inside you says, I'm not done. Heart isn't about looking the part. It's about living it. It's about showing up over and over again. Not because it's easy, but because it matters. When you have heart, you play through pain. You grind through doubt. You stand tall when you're under pressure. Heart doesn't need external motivation. It's internal. It's driven by purpose, not praise. You don't chase applause, you chase growth. You don't rely on comfort, you embrace challenge. You don't back down from the hard stuff. You lean into it, because you know that's where greatness is forged. People with heart don't just show up on game day. They show up every day. They do the reps when no one's looking. They do the work when there's no reward. They give everything when they feel like they've got nothing left. They pour out their energy, their passion, their soul into the grind because they know success isn't about what you have, it's about what you give. Heart gives everything. It holds nothing back. You can't fake heart. You can fake confidence. You can fake interest. You can fake talent with a little polish, but you can't fake heart. It reveals itself in the moments when the pressure is highest, when your back's against the wall, when quitting would be easy, but you choose to fight. Heart is raw, it's real, and it's rare, but it's the one thing that can push you past your limits and into your purpose. Heart doesn't wait for ideal conditions. It makes the most of what's there. It doesn't cry over what's missing. It builds with what it has. You don't need the best gear, the perfect situation, or a perfect plan. If you got heart, you'll find a way. You'll push the limits of what's possible because you believe in something bigger than convenience. You believe in showing up when no one expects you to. You believe in pushing forward even when you're alone. That's what heart does. It keeps going. People who win at the highest level aren't always the strongest, the smartest, or the most talented, but they've got more heart than anyone else in the room. They've got a fire that doesn't go out, a hunger that never fades, a level of resilience that can't be taught, It can only be earned. And it's earned through the grind, through the pain, through the failure, through the decision to get back up one more time every time. You don't need to be born gifted. You just need to be born with a reason so strong that it drives you through every obstacle, every setback, every failure. That reason becomes your why, and your why feeds your heart, and your heart drives everything. When you got hard, you stop making excuses and start making progress. You stop looking for the easy route and start choosing the growth path. You stop letting fear talk you out of your dreams and start letting heart push you into them. It's the force that turns average into excellent in setbacks and the comebacks. You don't need a perfect record. You just need heart to keep showing up and giving your best no matter what. Because in the end, when skill is matched and talent is equal, it's heart that decides the outcome. It's heart that puts you over the top. And it's heart that makes you unstoppable.